Hi everybody, it's Megan Fielder from Algebra Elevator, author and creator behind all things algebra related resources, and I love making digital and printable resources that provide students with immediate feedback. Today I'm here to talk about something a little different, and it is about the end of the school year. So it's finally here. We're all super excited to be nearing the end of the school year, but with it, at least in my opinion, comes a lot of work and a lot of loose ends that you only do once a year. So then it kind of makes the whole time period very quick and not necessarily stressful, but busy, a busy time at the end of the school year for me. So a couple of things that I like to keep in mind going into the next school year. I already talked about it before, but now is the best time to come up with those great ideas that you want to try next school year that you saw a need for this year, but maybe didn't have time to implement or would have taken a lot of work to kind of overhaul something in your classroom. So make that list of like a bucket list, a wish list for next school year, what you would do different, make it now. Because if that list is in the front of your mind at the moment, it can almost guarantee that's not going to be the case in August. So take a minute, write out those wish list items for what you would change for next school year and tuck that away somewhere safe. Now, in the physical space of your room, regardless of whether or not you're moving rooms or staying where you're at, I always feel like there's a lot to do at the end of the year. Now, every school, district, building, etc. is quite different in what they require you to clean up or move around or put away at the end of the school year. But from my experience, there's a lot of common themes. First off, a lot of buildings like to paint or wax at the end of the school year, so pretty much all of your more valuable items or sentimental items need to be kind of tucked away so that they don't get damaged in the cleaning process. Our building loves to take everything out of our room and then put everything back. And it's not a guarantee that it's actually going to make it back in your room. So what I have to do, or what I have chosen to do, is I make sure as much of my belongings are tucked away in my little closet, are put away in the permanent furniture in my room, or are taken home with me. So it does take a little bit of effort, but I do take a decent amount of stuff home that I can't fit in my storage pieces of my room because I don't want it to go missing, get lost, or damaged over the summer months. The other thing that comes with this is any furniture that I leave out, I am sure to label. So I have little stickers. I just typed them up in Word, nothing fancy. And it just says my room number and my name. I found this to be super helpful for getting my furniture back. This can be student chairs, student desks, my teacher desk, my teacher tables, any of those big furniture items. They tend to just get mixed up. So by putting those little stickers on, some of them I take off in the fall and some I just leave on year round, which is nice for all cases when people are using your room or moving things around. The other thing is when I'm putting my furniture away in my closet, a lot of this includes decoration elements or things that were on the tops of my tables. At the end of the year, before I pack anything up, I take a ton of pictures of my room. I even take a video a lot of times to make sure I know where everything was when I left it. That really makes coming back to school the next year a lot smoother, a lot easier. I print out those pictures or have them up on my phone and makes my classroom setup go so much faster. And I tweak things every year, but to not have to come up with that whole system over and over and over again, or try to recall what it was after not being in the room for 2 months, it just makes my life a lot easier having that documented in pictures. Along with this cleaning up the room process, I always am pretty cognizant of what papers I'm keeping around. So each year there's some papers that you don't pass back, or they're bigger projects that you could pass back but held on to for a while. So part of my end of year cleanup routine includes making sure that all the students get as much of their work back as possible, or it gets recycled. I do keep my big exams for one extra semester, just in case there are any grade discrepancies, concerns that I need to address. I need to have that documented. but I don't need to keep everything. So almost everything except those big tests are recycled, cleaned up, filed away. If I have a digital copy, I tend to get rid of the paper copy as much as I can, because that's just a lot of clutter to keep around year after year. And if I'm teaching for 10, 15 years, that's going to pile up fast. So by taking a minute, cleaning it out at the end of each school year, I'm trying to prevent that pile of paperwork from recurring. Another thing that I do at the end of the school year is I ask students for their unused supplies. So when they clean up their backpacks, lockers, desks if you have them in each room, a lot of times there will be filler paper, notebooks, rulers, maybe even pencils or pens that students just don't want and they want to throw it away, but I could use those or give them to other students who need supplies in the fall. So I make sure to ask for donations. If they run across anything that they're going to just toss, I ask them to give it to me and let me take care of it instead of just throwing it in the garbage. I'm not asking for them to go buy any new supplies. I'm just collecting things that they don't think they'll use. Another thing that I like to clean up is my digital space. So we talked about the room, we talked about planning for next year, but those digital documents. I talked a lot in another video about how I name my files to keep everything nice and organized. I will link that video so that you can check it out. But even with this great system, you collect random documents over the years or over the year. And it's nice to just take a few minutes, take a half an hour, take an hour, whatever it takes to clean up your Google Drive or your Microsoft Office files, just so that everything has a place. I even have a folder on my Google Drive or Google School and on my computer files as well that just says the name of the year and random files. So if I know I did something, I did it in the 2021 school year, I can't remember what it was super random, most likely I'll dump it into this random file folder. And that comes in handy for just locating that miscellaneous stuff. That only happens once. You don't need a whole folder dedicated to it. But I have it time-stamped by the year because that makes finding it a lot faster. So that's part of it. The other part of cleaning up your digital space is your emails. So take a look at your emails, delete, file away anything that you can in order to come back at the next school year with a little fresh start. Over the summer, you're still going to continue to get emails, but the volume will definitely decrease, so that will make an impact. But you don't want to come back to all the emails that you didn't take care of in the spring and all the things over the summer. So that's another really important one. My last piece of advice for the end of the school year is double check your curriculum. So take a look at your curriculum, take a look at what you have left, take a look at your calendar, and try to map it out. You're working with a finite number of days here, so you should be able to map out what your plan is. And if you run into some extra days, then start looking for some really engaging resources now so that you aren't just sitting around with your kids when they're pretty ready for summer anyway. So you have something to kind of motivate them and keep them on task. Teachers Pay Teachers has some great resources. I know I have a few ideas that I'm going to be sharing next week, but it's just that end of the school year, you want some of those little fun activities that still have a little bit of content in them, but aren't going to take up the whole hour maybe, or are just going to keep students' attention for those last couple of days, depending on your schedule. Now, if you have the opposite problem, make sure that you start prioritizing what content must be covered for either a specific test or for the next course that your students will go to. So even if you don't get through the material, kind of try to time it out now that you're working with a pretty manageable number of days left. So those are just some helpful tips for cleaning out your room for the end of the school year. In the coming weeks, I'm hoping to do, and over the summer, I'm hoping to do a little deeper dive into how I content plan my courses to make sure I get everything covered during the school year. So if that sounds interesting, make sure you stick around, like, subscribe, and share so that you can stay up to date for that information. And if anything in this video has been super helpful, please, 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 please subscribe and stay tuned for more, because I have lots of ideas coming and I can't wait to share them all with you soon. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.